Welcome, everybody, to the Onward VR Master League. My name's NightFiree with 2 E's. I'm joined by TheSkyJoker with also technically 2 E's, the show-off. How are you doing today, Sky?
I'm doing great, NightFiree. Really excited to be here, and thank you for allowing me to co-cast with you here today.
Oh yeah, it is a hype matchup. A matchup that we were talking about offline is as old as VRML time, practically. Silent Purge versus Beginners, ranked number 4 worldwide versus ranked 1. And I gotta wonder what this matchup is gonna deliver to us today, because with Season 11, it's just got my brain churning, Sky. With the map pool and everything that we've been seeing, there's so many possibilities.
Oh, for sure. And, something else we were discussing, beginners having, stereotypically being passive, aggressive towards the end, taking it slow, taking their time. But with the new season metas, with the rotating map pools, the custom maps being caught in, you see a lot of changes in the way they do things, and that really piques my interest watching them adapt to the new things that are coming out.
Yeah, there's certainly a team that is proving that they are capable of shifting up strategy as the meta adjusts, and it was something that I always was wondering in the back of my mind, because to your point, we've always typically seen them go with that 1-minute push strategy. Eventually, though, they have shifted off of it, and it's going to be really fun to see them also in new maps. Shipyard, Sand, the 2 custom maps in this map pools, the second map pool rotation that we're in now. And, I'm really interested to see how teams work around it, which does get us into our pick bans of the day. And it's an interesting map pool that it's left us with, Sky.
Oh, for sure. You see a lot of the veteran teams completely banning, getting rid of the custom map team or custom maps, because, generally they don't feel comfortable on them. They don't want the change. They all have their own reasonings. But both of these teams have opted to leave them in.
Yeah, Sand and Shipyard still in the map pool. Suburbia coming in from Silent Purge, the cargo ban from Beginners. A reminder that that cargo map is back in the map pool rotation. It was not in the first 5 weeks of the season, and so teams definitely wary of playing it. But it's still a map like Shipyard it has some cargo tendencies, not just because there's crates, like I said yesterday, on the map, but it's pretty tight quarters when it comes down to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of situations that you're going to find yourself in on this map. Like you said, very similar to cargo. You're going to come around corners and you're going to be 5 feet away from people, but it also has the length of a mid-range map. So you could come around a corner and get hit by a pretty long angle, especially these rooftops, which are just so dangerous.
Yeah, and if it wasn't clear, the first map is going to be Shipyard. Silent Purge choosing into that. And there's just so much to factor in. These teams have been facing off since Season 3. Silent Purge has only beaten them once, and it was only in Season 3, and it was only when Strazak was on their team. And so the roster is just not the same anymore, and since then, Beginners have won every single time they've faced off against Silent Purge. In all of those seasons, we really haven't had maps, a variety of maps. It's really been the same maps every single season. Even when a new map is created, it very rarely gets immediately introduced into the league. So for there to be 2 brand new maps, and then on top of that, a host of new objectives on the old maps, there's so much variety that Silent Purge can work around here, and we're really seeing a first for Silent Purge in that they have this opportunity to get a W to win since Season 3 against Beginners.
Yeah, and just on top of the new maps, just in general, the new metas, and the fact that there's no shields, and then the change in the way smokes work. I mean, just all these variations in the game on top of the new maps with this new season coming in. I mean, it just opens up so much opportunity for other teams who previously couldn't challenge these big, high veterans
Yeah.
could now do so.
Yeah, it's honestly probably my favorite season of Onward to watch so far. I know that there are certainly some issues still with certain mechanics that people can complain about, but just from a spectating perspective, just the variety that we get, the what ifs, it has been a absolute blast watching. And hey, we're gonna watch some excellent Onward here today as we dive in to round 1 of map 1, Silent Purge versus beginners.
Beginners are taking a really aggressive, pushed out defense as the shots come out from the ship. Moyles picking up one early, bringing this to a quick 5v4.
Yeah, a nice pickup and an aggressive swing that we have seen, or at least we did see yesterday. Very similar sort of push out with this objective. Teams favoring to take control here of this side of the ship. I guess I'll have to start learning my ship terminology. The bow and the stern. I think it's I think it's the bow, right? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. Either way, Raph and Killinger here posted up, and Bobby has to be hearing this, and Bobby's got himself in an interesting spot. He could easily toss some utility up and over. And actually, Raph has the same idea. Dumps one over the ledge.
Wow. And something to note here, guest star Raph, actually a brand new pickup from beginners from, I believe, Globochem, coming out with a nice grenade.
Now, Hoochie's got this rooftop position available. The flash comes in to stun out Bobby and Don, but they can't peek. And Hoochie has line of sight down onto Raph. But every time Raph peeks, Hoochie loses it. Now Raph's there, and Hoochie's lasered in just over his head, waiting for any bit of Raph's body to peek over.
Yeah, these aggressive beginners have really thrown Silent Purge through a loop. They cannot leave their basic spawn area without dealing with these defenders.
It's these three, and where's the fourth? Look at the overhead, just a little bit away over there. Scorpio, and he's watching for a flank, so he's not even pushing forward. He's just making sure that there's no additional pressure being applied.
Beginners just doing everything to keep Silent Purge off of this boat.
Now, it looks like Don's finally made it out. All that fire you're hearing is suppressive to allow for the rotations that have occurred here. And Don's managed to make it into a position where he can challenge the defense. He goes down, another biting the dust for Silent Purge, and now it's a 3v5.
Wow, the killings come out. I mean, you can see how efficient beginners are at reacting to shots, downed players, the veteran experience really proving itself here.
And even now, after they quickly lost those two, they're not panicking on rotations. Raph's staying disciplined, even as a new member. He's not rotating out of his position. Maybe that's a bad thing, but it could pay off as Hoochie crawls his way forward. Strayjack and Smoyle staying tucked in, and this is the trust in your defensive setup here.
Yeah, with a lot of teams with only 3 up on the defense, like you were saying, ooh, Raph picking up Hoochie, like you said, and only 1v3, you would expect players to be kind of, as you said, panicking towards the objective, trying to rotate back. But as beginners pick up the last one, they were solid and trusting the defensive positions that the rest of their teammates were pulling out.
And that's what it's something that you really see out of a very, very high level team. You know, a team that has been together for a while also. You don't get this out of a team that is fresh. Truly, and that's simply because it's an experience thing. It's a trust thing. It's something that develops over the course of playing together. And really, if you're a new team, it is something you can practice. You can discipline yourself and really focus on holding your angles. But it's a double-edged sword, right? If you trust your teammates and your teammates aren't doing their job, then there's gaps, and caps come in that way. And so, you know, what beginners are doing is that they're trusting in their teammates, that they're covering the right angles, and they are covering the right angles. They're getting the kills they need there in that 3v2, and ultimately coming out on top just by staying disciplined in their defensive positions. And now we'll see what Silent Purge do on this defensive rollout. I'm curious to see if they'll get aggressive up onto the bow of the ship. It's so far been a strat that I think I've seen every defense do when they've defended this objective.
And one thing that's really spiking my interest is, they say you defend how you attack how you defend. With beginners pulling out that kind of defense, what kind of offense are they going to use to counter something like that being thrown back at them?
Yeah, there's several styles here from what I can tell. You can play it slow, you can get command of the roof and have control essentially of that bow, or you can get very aggressive, swing wide, suppressifier, smokes. There's plenty of options that beginners can roll out with here on their offense. But again, we'll see if that defense gets aggressive as Silent Purge is trying to defend here and get on the board in round 2.
Right here. Don't get alarmed.
Silent Purge with some defensive smoke. Again, getting aggressive, but a little bit more spread out than beginners. Some trades and flashbangs early on here.
Yeah, and I don't even know if there's another spawn that they can get. I've only seen players spawn over in this corner. But either way, both flashes connecting. Raph and Killinger both blinded for a second. Dawn as well, and he has had to rotate. He swings wide for a double. A big pickup and a 1 for 2.
That was a really good 2 for 1 right there.
Yeah.
Bringing it to a 4v3.
Very much worth it for this Silent Purge defense. And now it's going to come down to holding your angles tight. Bobby, if he gets any more aggressive, could go down to a long-range angle there from Strazak. But Smoils and Paz otherwise positioned indoors and really just waiting, I'm not sure for what, the timing most likely, until they'll try and push out.
Take a look at Flossie's position over here. I mean, he is way off of objective, but this could prove key being this far out and off to the side. It could catch Smoils off by surprise if he pushes outside.
No, it's a really nice rotation, too, in that it has coverage of several different angles, and late angles at that. These are kill angles that you want to hold that essentially will force beginners to the only counter is to snap turn and shoot. And so Flossie here essentially will have the backs exposed. And if beginners try and push up this ramp,
One down center roof.
Oh man,
Yep.
Smoils with a nice
I'm coming
peek
down.
from the stairs onto the far roof. Picking off one. And then just as we were
I got
talking
one
about
dead.
Flossie's position, picking up Smoils again on that late rotation. He was definitely expecting to be safe there.
yeah, why would you anticipate someone to be here? It's such a, you're really far away from objective. Most of the attention is focused on that ship, where objective is, and even now, this is risky to be out here because they only have 3 defenders left. They really do need to stay tight on objective, and these rotations can cost lives, as Flossie will be able to move over to this ship relatively unscathed. Pause trying to make his moves up onto that bow and won't be running into anybody just yet.
Jack on his lonesome, actually utilizing the underground tunnels to shift his position here and try, I believe, and come in for a pinch with Pause from the other side of the ship.
Well, this is really smart. What he's doing is he's reacting off of the death that Smoils had. He's looking for how Smoils died here. He's searching for that player, and that was that rotation to try and catch him inside. As he tries to swing around to toss a nade, Flossie well-timed on his peak, and now it is all down to Pause. Silent Purge looking to bounce back here and tie it up 1 apiece.
Two and a half on the clock. He definitely has the time for these rotations to get some picks, get some picks as he comes up on Flossie. And Flossie not quite ready with the gun up. A very nice pick. Evening things up a little bit to a 1v2. Not impossible for a veteran player like Paz.
And, you know, again, the disciplined defense at this point would have been what is all they needed. They didn't need to have Flossie rotating or looking for picks, and ultimately it costs him his life. Now Hoochie and Scorpio have to hold a few different angles all on their lonesome, and Paz is still on the hunt. And like you said, a lot of time left. Now only a minute 45, but still a lot to work with.
Yeah, and as you kind of touched up on, I notice for a lot of teams, the last enemy player almost becomes like a black hole that just sucks in one player at a time. One player wants to go for that last kill, they get picked off. Another player's like, nah, I can get him, then they get picked off. And a 1v4 turns into a 1v1 real quick.
Couple of well-placed smokes, nicely denying vision from a few different angles there. Scorpio rotates out off of that smoking Pause, IDs it. Can't connect on his shots, though, and Silent Purge lock in their defensive round. A similarly close hold, and, well, this is going to be a exciting series.
Yeah, it was kind of entertaining to watch Pause trying to converge Assassin's Creed with Onward right there as he kind of did a drop shot off the roof, just barely missing his shots. Could have turned the tables there, though.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Either way, a solid job from Silent Purge, and again, we'll see if beginners. That offense, it did come down to the last minute, but I think that's really truly because they were just picked apart. They had been whittled down to so few that they didn't have the ability to push up any faster than they would have liked. And it is interesting to see the aggression, you know, to see beginners look for some of these kills and get picked up by counter moves from Silent Purge, just because beginners are a very cautious team, usually very aware of where their opponents are going to attack them from. And as we shift to a new objective on this new map, I wonder if it is because it's a fresh map into the map pool. They've gone 5 weeks without playing it at the same time. I got to assume that both of these teams did scrims on Shipyard once they were aware it was in the map pool. I can't imagine that they're coming into this unpracticed, and at the very least, I think both of these teams played in the custom map tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, most definitely. And, you know, looking at some of these rotations and positions, you can tell they have the understanding of the angles that are on this map. And looking at this new objective, I'm really interested to see how it works in their favor. This one being a little bit more prone to being engulfed or surrounded.
Yeah, it is interesting in that the ground floor push can be pretty dang effective. A smoke comes perfectly placed here, denying Killinger any vision. Well, it denies Dawn vision as well. He does not see Killinger cross there with him. And it's one on the board for Silent Purge. For beginners, excuse me.
Yeah, once again, beginners taking this aggressive boat defense, leaving the ground approach pretty open. Scorpio picking up Killinger.
1v1.
Actually, now re-looking at the beginners' defense, they do have some pretty nice positions covering most of the approaches from the ground.
Paz and Raph invested in this ramp entry. Paz in a really nice position, dropped off the stairs on the top crate, and he finds Bobby.
Pulled one off the boat.
Wow, what a position to hold.
I think that's Echo 3 for sure. Beta 4.
But this is a map
Flossie
yeah, you gotta keep your eyes everywhere. Flossie's dropped off of the roof here after finding a kill. Strayjack thankfully on objective, but if he wasn't there, it would have been bad news. Scorpio goes down, shots come in. Scorpio still hasn't found Paz up on top of that crate. Oh, the C4.
Oh, C4 coming out.
Put it in the books. That is a highlight right there, folks. Holy cow. I haven't seen a C4 toss that far.
That got some air.
Oh, I mean, come on. What a toss. That's ridiculous. Perfectly placed, and beginners snag around, but hey, a hard-earned round at that. Silent Purge certainly made a good go of coming up that ramp and almost really capping. StrayJack was the only one there. If StrayJack doesn't get that kill, it's a cap for Silent Purge, and they're up 3-1.
Yeah, and that's the risk of putting so many defenders on such an aggressive, pushed up position. Again, the trust in your teammates gonna have to come out there.
Ooh, this is awesome. A great EU battle here. Again, ranks 1 worldwide versus rank 4. So you're seeing the best of the best to duke it out right now, and it's a lot. I gotta be honest. It looks just like what we saw in the other. It looks similar, not just like. There's different positions getting pulled here by beginners, but very similar sort of aggressive play here, as we saw with Peacekeepers and Ember, and those two teams are teams that are known for playing very aggressive. Maybe it's just Shipyard, I'm not sure what it is, but we are getting fights within the first 30 seconds here, and we'll see again if we get a hard push up onto the bow of this ship from Silent Purge.
Yeah, hopping into round number 4 here, I am not disappointed at all in the things we are seeing here today. I mean, the new aggression metas and the new styles of play are just so fun to watch.
Yeah, and there's active discussion on strat right now. Dawn mentioning that the boat is overpowered. They have to get control of it, but Hoochie doesn't want to overinvest. He wants to make sure that they're covering the main entry points in that main building, and it is what they're doing there. Hoochie has an angle, but doesn't seem to spot this ramp crossing, and a lot of utility invested. Smokes, flashes, all getting them up here onto this ship.
So much traded utility over on the ship here. As Killinger makes his way up, gonna sneak right onto the line of Dawn.
Long range
and a
trade on the
nice
side
trade.
there, yeah. We'll see if the defensive holdout will work here. It seems like it's well set up. You look at the overhead, and I really actually like this setup. They're not investing in the bow. They're waiting. They're almost more invested in that stern, because that's ultimately where you have to get control if you do want to push this objective. It doesn't matter if you get where Killinger is right now, because you still can't push up to objective, and it's ultimately a pretty stacked defense around the OBJ. There's not really any route that I see that's easy for this offense to cross through, unless they get rid of Dawn and do take control here of this ship. I think that is their best chance of being successful.
Yeah, I'm just kind of watching the way beginners are setting up, and they're almost leaning more towards the old kind of slow down approach, because Smalls and StrayJack are still back in the spawn, while Raph and Dr. Killinger are almost kind of picking and prodding, maybe trying to gather some info.
Exactly.
And I'm wondering how long it's going to be before Smalls and StrayJack make their push.
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing that I did want to comment on, is how quick they had pushed up here. But to your point, it is very much seeming that that's their strategy. They are waiting, and as I say that, they do push in. Dawn finds one. The trade comes through, and so 1 for 1 there in the crates. Turns it into a 3 for 3. StrayJack, in the meanwhile, we're going to have to watch him. They're going for an underground rotation up to this objective. Where does this come out? I don't even know.
Something to note there. Again, beautiful plays from the veteran team. Raph in a perfect position for that refrag. He waited for Killinger to poke out enough. He didn't want to line up with him. And he was in, again, a beautiful position to just swing around as soon as he got picked.
The battle buddy strategy is something you see in a lot of competitive esports, especially shooters. You know, it's Counter-Strike, Valorant, all of those. That sort of style of double swing is executed for that exact purpose. And Raph Gonna get a little bit of vengeance there to turn this into a 3v2. Now Scorpio and Bobby have to hold, and they are holding late angles, kill angles. Strayjack aware of where Scorpio can hold, and now Bobby has to go up against 3 beginners.
Bobby just trying to figure out where the attack is going to be coming from. He doesn't want to get capped on, so he's being very out in the open, ensuring that the offense can see where he's at.
Yeah, and if you go into his first-person view, you can see his head on a swivel. He's got to watch his back as shots come in from Strayjack, who's got a good position on that rotation. Beginners lock in the first back-to-back round here and ultimately take a 3-1 lead on Silent Purge's map pick.
And that right there kind of segues into another thing we can touch up on, the mind game of Onward. You pick a map because you feel confident on it. You think, well, I'm pretty sure we can take them on this. And to be down such a score line on the map that you feel comfortable on, you got to wonder how that affects the mind game.
Yeah, you know, especially since beginners are going to have that map choice. They're going to be able to choose where they go for the second map. They're going to be able to go someplace comfortable, and you look at the map pool, there's plenty of options there. Snow Peak they've been playing well on. Downfall they obviously play well on. And they know this team. They know Silent Purge. They've played them every single season, so they have a good understanding of where they succeed at and where they struggle. And I really expect a solid counter pick from beginners going into map 2, but I just don't know where that takes us. I don't think it's going to be sand. I would be pretty surprised if beginners pick sand. I wouldn't be if that's the map 3 decider. And actually, maybe we'll just go there regardless, because it just feels like that's the best opportunity for Silent Purge to surprise beginners. But we're seeing that even on Shipyard here, beginners proving they still know the map. They're not they're not getting caught out by some of these angles, and it's put them up 3-1 right now.
Yeah, beginners notorious for doing their homework on where they can get to, where they can hold, what kind of angles they can shimmy their way to. They're showing it here. They've highlighted it time and time again. And Silent Purge, they're really going to have to find a way to counter this sort of angle style attack and defense if they're going to look for a comeback here.
We are into a brief pause here, and I'm guessing it is most likely an official tech pause at this point. 2 not connected for beginners. And it will most likely cut us to a brief intermission. Not seeing them reconnect just yet, although we are holding out. And yeah, I think we'll be hopefully right back after a few words from our sponsors and a quick breather. Don't go anywhere. Map 1 still undecided. Beginners are back. maybe we don't have to go. Maybe I drew out I drum rolled it long enough. Maybe okay. I lied. We're not going to go to a word from our sponsors just yet. But I guess it is a good moment as any to shout out our sponsors. We do appreciate it. And you've seen their logos ticking in the bottom right here and during those replays. VR Cover, Pro2 VR. 2 of my favorites. You know, I really do enjoy the VR. Both essentials, honestly, in my opinion, for all of our sponsors. Truly essentials. VRWare has great clothing. You can get custom VRML branded like water bottles, mats, all kinds of great stuff from VRWare. It's the haptics, the haptic feedback on those vests is fantastic, and obviously HyperX with their headphones, the mic quality you're hearing right into your ears, one of the courtesy of HyperX. And so it's always a big shout out to our sponsors that come together and help ultimately provide a pretty solid production, in my opinion, for what is a up and coming esport. This one's we'll be pulling in millions soon enough. Don't you worry, folks.
Offensive Silent Purge really kind of bunched up here on the ship. They've made a lot of headway comparatively to the previous rounds, beginners giving them a lot more real estate to work with. We'll see if they utilize it fully.
Yeah, we shift over to a new objective, and this one lends itself to a lot tighter angles here. You can see Killinger watching the second story drop down, Rafts watching the first story. I mean, they have all of these angles covered, and again, it's what I like to call a good kill box setup here around this defense. All of these, you can see lasers just creating what ultimately is I guess a death triangle there. You can see it. But if you have all 5 coming together, it can sometimes look like a box or I guess a kill pentagon. I don't know. I'm not a
pentagon.
I'm not a kill rhombus. You know, what's the what's the proper terminology here? Maybe we can get a poll check and weigh in.
Lots of comms coming out from Silent Purge here, just trying to, again, gain intel. They can't really make any moves up until they understand the layout of the defense a little bit better.
Yeah, Flossie going for an underground rotation. I wonder where that pops up because, oh, interesting. Comes right out on the backside of this defense. And maybe a bit of a weak point here, if anything. Pause is positioned just over the door, so if he hears anything, he can react accordingly. But if Flossie comes up quiet, Pause is not going to be ready for this, and there's going to be an opportunity for Flossie to do some damage.
So we could have a little information asymmetry here. Pause gave out a call out. Flossie definitely aware of that, but I don't know if Pause is aware of Flossie.
Well, he is
I'm
now.
sorry, Flossie's aware of Pause. But now, yep, the utility comes out. Pause definitely knows to look down here at this doorway.
Oh, he's made it around. Pause missed the exit.
Just barely looked away at the wrong time. Now the shot's coming out from the other side, and the C4 finishes off that approach. Scorpio making an aggressive move here, down to a 2v3.
Yeah, the beginner's defense has been picked a little bit apart here in the front line. Both Poochie, Bobby, Scorpio all up here. As Bobby goes down, it gets Silent Purge gets picked apart as well, but they've done well to find a couple of kills, and it's now a 1v3 for Scorpio. I don't know what his plan is, but maybe he can find the toes of 1 or 2 defenders as he makes his entryway.
Might be able to pick up Stray Jack right at the toes there. He is, but that's going to give away his approach to the objective. Smoils and Pause reacting onto this very quickly. Pause going to come around Scorpio's back, and Scorpio not quite prepared. Going to end in a trade. Beginners taking the first map 4-1.
Almost a comeback there. The right idea. Smoils fortunate he didn't get clipped. And if Smoils goes down, then he hears the rotation behind him because he's not shooting his LMG. And so Pause very likely gets caught out there swinging around on the backside. Either way, a good attempt and what you would really expect out of beginners. The top team right now in the VRML. Well, they've right now and in the past, they've been the top team for quite some time. So a position they're very comfortable in and performing well in here on Shipyard. 4-1. Where do we go for map number 2 is the question. It is beginner's map choice. If you aren't familiar with how this works, it's a best of 3 series. You always play out the third map either way, but home team picks first and third map, away team picks second. Beginners are away here, and so I guess they can either pick map or side. Very rarely do we see a team choose side. It's often preferred to take a map that they know they have an advantage on or are more comfortable on than their opponent. And so I think beginners right now just doing maybe a little bit of research into what map, where we want to head. And if we do see that lobby disband, then it's an indicator that we're headed to sand, which would be a surprise.
Well, I don't know if it'd be totally surprising. Looking at the stats here, Silent
Okay.
Purge actually have a 0 win rate this season so far on sand, having played it 3 times. So beginners could pick for weakness here, as they have been doing pretty well on the close range customs. We'll see what they ultimately decide, though.
Yeah. Either way, a hard-fought win and well-earned, and I think it's going to give us a solid map 2 here, wherever it takes us. And it looks like map 2 is going to be an old familiar for both squads, Quarantine. And so I do imagine this should be a pretty close back and forth here. Both teams very familiar with this map, although there is several new objectives that really do throw a little bit of a wrench in the standard meta defensive positions.
Yeah, for sure. And looking back here, yeah, beginners do have a 100% win rate so far this season
well.
on Quarantine.
Hold on. This might not be
There's
where we're headed.
comfort. Oh, yep, we do have... Oh, yeah, they have emptied the lobby, actually.
Okay, hold on. A bit of a tech pods here as we sort this out. Maybe Quarantine isn't where we're going. Maybe it is going to be sand. But let's see. Let's try and find where they are taking us for map 2. I think it is Quarantine. Maybe they just had a server issue. Yeah, we're still headed to Quarantine, so no trick ups there. But yeah, excited to see this map played out here by both squads. Again, a map that they're familiar with, but also unfamiliar with these new objectives. But even then, they've been playing it for 5 weeks already, so they should be pretty comfortable with these new spots and how to defend them appropriately. And I wonder if we're going to see any subs. Both of these teams have full rosters. They have the available subs they can dip into. We saw Raph being played here on beginners, and he's a new addition to that squad. Maybe they'll sub in someone fresh here for Quarantine. Not sure what the strat's going to be, but we are just waiting for the lobby to populate, and we'll dive on into Quarantine. And, Sky, so far we've seen beginners really not afraid to challenge early. Are we going to see them shift back to their standard strat, or is this just maybe a new beginners that is comfortable across the board, playing quick, playing mid-range, and playing it patient?
I think it's more the latter. I think they're going to be pretty similar to what we've been seeing. I think that is kind of the new tactic that they're pulling out here, and I don't think that's going to change too much on a map like Quarantine, because a map like this, even though it is large, with the amount of cover it has in between, I think it definitely complements their strat of kind of spreading out, getting quick up in front early lines, and then holding, moving up, getting their picks, and kind of guerrilla warfaring their way through the map.
Yeah, it is something that they really excel at, and if you talk about a team that does well splitting apart, beginners really excels at just that. They are very talented at spreading out all 5 and still staying in communication, still being aware of where their team is. And it's something that we don't talk a lot about, but there's no UI, there's no names over the head. You don't see your teammates through walls. All you have is a tablet that shows you a dot of where they are on the map. And that's oftentimes a guess of where they really are, just because you can't see it on the map. And it really comes down to good comms and, again, trust in your team. Beginners know exactly how each one of their teammates plays. And so it really just comes down to, okay, I know we're at 4 minutes. These guys should be here, here, and here. I'm going to move my push up. They'll know I'm pushing, and we'll be good to go. Like, it's really just almost a, not telepathic, but just memorized strats that they have and ways that they play that have been ingrained after thousands of hours of play. I mean, both of these teams have put so much game time into Onward.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing you see coming out from a lot of these high tier teams that have been together for just so long. They said it's almost like a mind connection that they have where they
Yeah.
just understand their teammates and where they be, how they play, and what they're going to do.
We've got to watch you don't get this quick spawn over here, mines, as well.
We're going into our first round of the day. Comms coming in there. Hoochie trying to make sure everybody's sorted and has their head on a swivel for this first rollout. It is going to be an old crater spawn, and no one's going to challenge early here. So Flossie should get to his position. Oh, maybe not. He does push up. Look at this long-range angle held by Paz. He's looking for the pick.
Don's going to try and challenge this early beginner's push here. Out by himself.
I saw a
Filtering out.
ghost,
Don't connect
so
with
yeah,
anybody,
give me a
though.
position.
Yeah, and he's going to drop off that as well. He's not going to continue to challenge it. Don also himself not going to continue to challenge that angle. And it's really just them waiting on pause to see if you can get a rooftop pick. And I don't think Silent Purge are going to invest in getting one up there simply because they are aware of the risks it
I didn't
presents
see anything.
of
There was
trying
smoke
to
there.
invest in getting one up onto that roof and then keeping one up there. It's challenging and can oftentimes lead to bad objective coverage. And so different sort of defensive setup here than we normally see, but for a north objective, I suppose it's pretty standard. I do remember this before quarantine was changed, so a very old strat style for this north OBJ.
Yeah, and looking at the overhead here, I've been kind of watching the arrows as they flutter around and
Yeah.
watching beginners kind of they do their poke and prod. They move up, they check an angle, and then they rotate back and immediately go somewhere else. And they are just doing this over and over and over, 5 at a time, looking for the information, the picks, just trying to understand once again how the defense is set up so they can make their final approach.
I think I heard the pizza pockets are done. Got to get to those and fuel up because the action here is riveting and it's going to make you hungry. Certainly making me hungry right now just because it's been high octane and 340 left. We're waiting to see what beginners are going to do with their offensive push. Round one taking its time, and like you said, I think it's going to be a lot of everything. We're going to see this style where beginners do take their time, they poke and prod, they try and find picks and slowly work their way up. But I also anticipate that depending on spawn and objective, we will see some quick plays from beginners. This is certainly not one of them, and this is more reminiscent of that patient offensive style. Button is going to get the first pick, though, and it doesn't go in favor of beginners, and so Silent Purge off to a nice start.
What a long-range pick that was, and that is exactly what Button's position is meant to do. That is the exact angle he was designed for, and he took care of it like a champ.
Yeah, just waiting there that whole time to catch out that rooftop push. That takes discipline. And his position is known now, and you see he's not checking anymore. He tucks back in and then eventually rotates out to a more a safer corner where he can't get naded as easily. Really well, a really savvy job there, and it puts beginners on the back foot just a little bit. We got to also keep an eye on, who is this over here? Strayjack, who is still holding on this side of the objective. So I wonder if the plan, as if you look at the overhead, to draw attention over to this west side of the map where you do see the team slowly shifting. And then eventually Strayjack will make his entry here from this east side, but we'll see if he holds and waits and if that is ultimately the plan. I think it truly is because he's really patiently staying on this position and staying in cover.
Yeah, I'm really liking how Beginners is staging up this nice little pinch here. And again, Button UK having rotated here to a secondary defense position might throw them off a little bit. as the smokes come out and they prepare for the final push in the last 90 seconds of the round.
Both teams are very familiar with this, though. You know, Silent Purge know this offensive style. They know what a last-minute push looks like and how to react accordingly, and so it's really going to come down to execution, and Hoochie maybe could find something as we trade kill for kill. Hoochie doesn't commit to that, and hears the shots, decides to rotate back and stay closer to objective. Ultimately leaves him exposed to Icy Woods, who does decide to make that commitment to the push, and with a minute left, it's a nice 3v3 that they're in. The click coming out there from Woods. He's on the hunt for more, but doesn't have enough bullets.
Man, almost a twofer right there. And as I say that, he does swing around and pick up Button. Stray Jack swinging around and picking up Scorpio, leaving one defender left off of objective. This could be a cap if they play it right, but no, they wait for him to poke out and get the final kill. Beginners with their first point.
And that is standard Beginners. Perfectly executed. The push down in the last minute. The nice swing from Woods gets him the double. Pause just unaware of where the opponent was coming from. You know, couldn't predict which side he was going to be hit from, and he goes down. And then, as I mentioned, Strayjack makes his entry when the distraction comes in from the west. He finds a kill, and ultimately the final defender goes down with still a couple left alive from Beginners. And so a very solid rollout on that offensive play, and just like that, they continue to hold leads. Beginners up 1-0.
There's just not a lot of words. What a beautiful setup that was.
Yeah.
And it was Silent Purge's round to win almost. They had the early picks, they had the numbers advantage, but again, the discipline of Beginners to set up their pinch properly and make their entrances onto the objective, picking up 1 for 2, evening things up.
Be prepared to come back if I die.
We swap sides now, and Silent Purge get a distant spawn, not the same one that Beginners had. And look at this. What is this this defensive rollout? Beginners, all 5 pushing up. This is crazy.
This is a donkey space move, a very unorthodox, unexpected thing to throw off Silent Purge. I wonder if it's going to work or not.
This is a huge commitment to this aggressive defensive rollout, but they've gotten themselves into some good positions. Killinger proves that to be true. He finds the first kill of the round, and again, it's risky. You look at the overhead, they're super weak on objective. They're investing heavily in predicting this spawn and acting off of it, and I don't know if it's going to be the right choice at the end of the day. We'll see if Silent Purge react accordingly themselves. And again, Scorpio is already over there in the east.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we touched up on earlier. Defend how you attack. The Beginners are all about staging up and taking their time and coming in towards the end. I wonder if this is Beginners' way of countering the stage up, pushing out early where they would stage and shutting down those angles.
Big pickup there coming through. Silent Purge find one. Hoochie navigates a tight angle over the top of that wall, and a common one, but effective nonetheless. All you got to do is tilt your rifle to clear the barrel over that wall and take your shots, and ultimately it puts Beginners not into a awkward position, not as any awkward as it was before, but again, it just seems like they don't have great on-objective coverage, and as I say that, Smoils with the big swing up onto the second floor finds another, and Silent Purge are getting whittled down here. The cross comes in, but it's identified by Strayjack.
I'm just kind of following along with Scorpio here, who's doing a prone up to the objective. If he plays his cards right, he could make his way very close to this without getting spotted.
Wow. You're
Icy
absolutely
Woods
right.
was rotating in a position to see it, but he actually came off of it and is going to a secondary location, and that opens up this whole approach.
Interesting. Yeah, they're going to have to commit one. Because I think you're right. I think he can. There's a line that he can prone almost all the way up to objective, truly. I don't think they'll see it. Smoils was going to have to commit to a peek up and over the ledge to find it. Killinger is going to stay in this position. I doubt he rotates out. Maybe after another minute, Killinger will swing away from this spot, but he's going to be useless here because this entire, you know, they've picked off who they've needed to pick off. Hoochie isn't going to commit to pushing down. And again, the other two are Scorpio and Dawn, who they know has crossed. They don't know about Scorpio.
No, they have no idea that this attacker is danger close to the objective. And if he prones up to that hill, I'm pretty sure he can stay low enough on the hill to not get spotted by any of these positions.
Brajak maybe has an angle. Yeah, Strayjack can get it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so looking at him, it's going to be tight.
Pad comes out. Smoils also has a line. They're just going to have to miss this.
Oh,
He's there.
Stray Jack doesn't look right now, but he
spots
does.
him. Suppressive fire needed to come in 2 seconds earlier. It would have kept him there.
Oh, man. Unfortunate timing on the distraction there.
It's not all over yet, though. Hoochie has managed to even the odds just a bit. He's found one, and these are great smokes placed nicely to deny Strayjack vision onto the swing out from Hoochie here. Dawn also pushes up, but finally Killinger comes out from his hole. As I called it, I was 30 seconds off. But he's there, and he's found his kill. Dawn now going to try and find the picks he needs, but can't do it as there's a couple left alive for beginners. So they take another round, but again, a close one. Silent Purge not making it easy.
As you said, that distraction, if it had just come out before the pick was off, oh man, that could have been a cap. If the smoke had come out on objective, the suppressive fire, that was a cap.
Yeah, and that's 2-1. You're in the lead. You're looking good going into this defensive round. It's everything they want, but I love to see the attempt, you know, and the route he took was pretty much the only route they could take to get that close. So, geez, just imagine maybe a smoke on objective, you know?
Yeah, just one. Just one.
The smokes were there. They had them available. Either way, yeah, beginners able to get it and go into our next round. Round number 3 of map 2.
Invested 5 smoke into that cross. They did not want beginners to pick them off, but that is going to tell beginners that they did cross more than likely, and that's going to be information to go off of.
Yeah, we're back to well, back-to-back old objectives. So very standard meta strat to smoke and cross there. Interesting that there's no challenge, and if there isn't one, it's information for Silent Purge. That means that they didn't get that middle spawn where you can actually set up a firing line on that south street. That means they didn't spawn there, and so they should have an idea to shift some attention to the north, simply because the standard split is what we see here with a 2-3. Sometimes there's 3 up in the north, sometimes there's 3 up in the mid, and beginners going for that 2 in the north investment.
I did just realize you mentioned earlier possible roster shiftings and subs. We do have Icy Woods coming in this map.
Oh, yeah.
Or, I believe, RAF now. Really liking how beginners have set up this offense. A nice line down the map to cover off any types of approaches from an aggressive defense.
sign of a very practiced team. I mean, look at it's just ridiculous how in sync they are. As soon as Smoils hits this corner where Hoochie can challenge, the suppressive fire rings on top of Hoochie. And so then Hoochie has to tuck in. Smoils ultimately decides to not peek out there, and that is because the information gets relayed, hey, there's one at tanks. You can't swing. You got to go around for the deeper angle. Good comms, perfect timing, standard beginner stuff.
Okay, the rock guy might have been choosing.
It
a
is
few
just so beautiful how orchestrated these things
One at the
look
rock,
and
I think I
appear,
got him, but I'm not
and how
100% sure,
they
Killinger.
come out to be here in the rounds of Onward in the master level.
Yeah, Strayjack actually thinks he tagged Don, but all Don did was tuck back in, and so he's still very much here. The flash comes up and over. Killinger's completely blind, and he scurries back around the corner. An indicator that Don is still alive, and the push can't come through quite yet.
I noticed even while Flash, Killinger did an amazing job at navigating his way around back around that corner. That's some deep map knowledge right there.
Ooh, Smoils finds one. Don's pushed up through the smoke. A fantastic rotation from him. Gets one, but is it going to be enough? It might be, as Flossie scoops up Woods, getting aggressive up through South Woods. The double cross pays off here as Flossie does some work, and now Don knows there's two more here in the South. He's going to continue to challenge.
Ooh. And the trade for trade, Strayjack now picking up Don, again continuing with his aggressive peaks. The back and forth, ending in now a 3-3.
Fucking hell. Stand by, I have to find the smoke.
Nope, Strayjack dropped the smoke, and now he's digging around for it. Pause, invests another smoke to cover this this gap, and Strayjack, yeah, can't remedy his botched toss. They're going to continue their push here, though, and honestly, this may be a good route of entry.
Moyles and Button over here in the north are kind of in a stalemate. They took some pop shots at each other, definitely aware that the other is there, but neither wants to really commit to a peek or a push-up.
Strayjack, one by one, clearing the doors. Flossie catches pause, getting aggressive up through that central south push. Strayjack's still alive here, way over in the deep south, and we'll see if he can work away some of this defense. If he can find some picks on the Scorpio, he needs
on the north side of
some reinforcements to come in from Smoils, and comms are coming in there, so he does know where the defense is, and he's going to push up. He's going to cross very dangerously. The pillar, perfectly timed, saves his life, but he's in a bit of a pinch.
Smoyles now trying to get the rotation, but not fast enough to back him up. Strayjack going down to Scorpio, down to a 1v3. Again, not impossible for a player like Smoyles.
We'll see what the approach looks like here. He goes right into a kill triangle. And Silent Purge lock in a round. They're on the board. A solid hold. Great picks from them. Ultimately, a good back and forth. You can't count either one of these teams out at any point. And even though beginners have won 4-1 on Shipyard, I don't think this is it yet for Silent Purge by any mark.
Oh, definitely not at all. And, you know, another thing to touch up on, even though the scoreline reflects a 4-1 on Shipyard, most of those rounds were, you know, 1-1, 2-1. I mean, just so close. One little shift in movement could have changed any of those rounds. So, as we're seeing here on Quarantine, they are still there to challenge the team beginners.
Yeah.
It's not a blowout at all by any means.
No, they're right there neck and neck, and it really just comes down to that mid to late round execution. You know, how well can you outplay? And frankly, we just saw some good plays there that outplayed the rotations from beginners to get that point on the board. And I think it's the same way that when beginners get the round, they outplay them. Here's the spawn I was talking about, where you can create a firing line to deny the other team from crossing this South Street. And we do see smokes, and so I do anticipate some fire to come through here.
That'll probably cross straight away as well.
Yep. More smokes come in, though, and they continue to swing out. One's gotten across. Button's looking for the frag, and he's found it. Smoils doesn't have enough coverage. They only invested, what, 3 there? Clearly 5 is the magic number.
Oh, man. A great early pickup for Silent Purge.
I made it across.
Gonna help them a
Fuck,
lot
there's already
here.
one in the south. God damn it.
Yeah,
They're
Strays
already challenging the South.
yeah, he crosses, gets tagged as healing, and as he continues to push out, he gets shot again. This Silent Purge offense kicking it up to a factor of 10 now as they dive in really aggressively out of spawn onto objective. Here comes Smokes already, and they're up 5-3.
Yeah, 60 seconds in, and they're putting smokes on the objective. This is a contrasting attack to what we saw from beginners.
Hey, they will be watching me, only me.
Paz, feeling the pressure, rotates out of motel and fighting in the middle of the street against
Missed this guy.
Flossie over there, but neither one of them connect on their shots.
Got eyes on both
A
ends
nice
there.
rotation.
Yeah, Scorpio has an angle onto the backside. And so Paz not even safe rotating around there on OBJ. And the pinch coming in. C4 gets detonated. Doesn't catch anybody out, though. And Don drives down the stairs. Woods chases after him.
One down parking lot.
Oh, man. I see Woods chasing for that kill. Really wanted to take down Don in the back. And Flossie picking up the refrag. 4v2 as the defense gets surrounded here.
Whoa, Killinger getting aggressive here, going up onto the catwalk. Tries to get the angle on the Flossie. Lucky he wasn't tagged earlier by Button, but does put Silent Purge into an even better position now. Pause the lone defender. He goes out and commits hard to attacking this offense. Finds one, gets tagged, ducks back in. Has to wonder where the heck this enemy's coming from.
He is not sitting comfortably here. The attack coming in from multiple angles. He's still trying to peek out, looking for more picks.
Look at this. Scorpio's sneaking in. Oh, no. Scorpio was here. He had the pad out, but Flossie commits just as Scorpio dives in. And the point's a point. And when it's up against beginners, I think they'll take it. So tied up 2-2.
Especially having lost map 1, they needed any point they can get.
Yeah.
And the communication not quite there, but still a nice attack to take down beginners, forcing them to rotate out of their comfort positions.
And this is a little bit more back and forth than Shipyard. Even though Shipyard had close rounds, certainly it did come down to a couple of 1v2s and 1v3s. This is, well, obviously more evenly matched as we are tied up 2 apiece. I really think we might come down to a 3-3 round 7 at this point with the way we're going. Beginners are capable of putting back-to-back rounds up on the board, but Silent Purge are seemingly getting into a bit of a groove here, and we are going to shift objectives and another familiar objective position, so shouldn't really be, I don't know. I don't know what to expect, I suppose. We've seen Marsuck rounds traded here, so I'm not going to say the Volk advantage has been prevalent, but on a map that people are familiar with, on an objective that they're familiar with, meta defensive strategies should prevail, and Silent Purge should be able to push this up 3-2 if they do everything right and hold some good defensive angles.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to watch. Once again, an objective prone to being encircled, which is exactly what beginners like to do.
True.
It being a more central objective. A Silent Purge is going to feel the pressure from all angles here.
Seeing some defensive smokes tossed out as well, just to allow Flossie and Scorpio to push up. I imagine they're going to try and take control of that far south side, and maybe Flossie even pushes up to Ambulance. I'm not sure where ultimately he will land, but an aggressive early defensive start, and I was actually going to take control of the underground across the street from objective.
Like we're seeing a different sort of approach here. Beginners all coming down from the same side of the map. Going to be interesting to see if they maintain this approach or if they eventually rotate back and split off.
Standard beginner stuff, though. Even though they are spread, they all have each other's refrag angles. They're all covering different lines of sight. You very rarely see two lasers from beginners looking at the same spot. And just for, I mean, again, players don't see the lasers. This is only a spectator thing. I can turn them off just like that, and you can get an idea. I think, I don't know what the command to turn off everything else is, but off the top of my head, that's one of the things that they're not seeing. They also obviously don't see the blue outlines. They don't see the name tags over their heads. And so just really, again, an indication of a team that knows their teammates so well. They know where they're all looking because they've played together so many hours. I'll turn lasers back on. I'm sure people are screaming.
Everybody screams about the lasers. It's the most important part of the cast, didn't you know?
I have to see where the gun's pointing at all times. It certainly does give us a good indicator of where, you know, they are trying to target and what sort of lines they are holding. So I like having it on too, but certainly not something that the players see when they're in game. And the push slowly rolling out here for beginners, not so slowly really. They've already managed to make it all pretty well controlled over onto this west side, and they have 4 minutes left.
I'm looking at the defense here, and the way beginners is coming in, they are actually deeming almost half of the defense like just irrelevant.
Yeah.
These positions that the defenders are in over there in the south and the mall are just not going to come to fruition here. And they're going to end up having to rotate back to objective very quickly as these shots ring out.
Now, what you saw on defense was the dive into that gap. They don't make it there, and so Pause has to do a little bit of a rotation. I think that does give away audio-wise his push-up here. Now Woods and Pause do swing and pause with a fantastic quick check. Leaves Button no time to react. Woods is going to look for the shot from the bottom floor. He's not going to find it. And Don, if he plays this patiently, could find himself a couple of kills. Launches the flash. It doesn't matter. Woods goes down. So does Tragic.
A nice double from the corner there. Smoyle's looking for the refrag, and he's not going to find it. Don picking up a third. Almost shutting down that complete approach.
This rotation, too.
On his move.
Oh. He was trying to really put something big together there. And, yeah, Pause did a bit of a rotating himself. Found him in the back, but could have been even more detrimental if he had managed to get rid of Pause. Either way, beginners are only left with 3. And to your point, these defensive positions now seem pretty strong, simply because they have coverage, they have lines of sight down onto this west side, and beginners have to push into them.
Yeah, the defense doing a nice rotation during that gun battle. Now have all the approaches covered, and they're basically boxing them into the crash building. They've identified where the rest of the attack is, and they are not going to let them move out of here with just under 2 minutes left in the round.
Yeah, Scorpio's got their back exit covered on this ramp, and I think that's what Pause and Killinger are ultimately going to try and commit to. Maybe they could make an exit out of the basement. I think that's probably their their number 2 route. Otherwise, challenging Flossie and Hoochie up in the front seems like a pretty big risk, not worth taking. And so we'll see what ends up happening here. Minute left now. They really are going to have to push.
Ooh, a nice pickup. Pause evening things
One
up
north roof wall.
2-2 now.
Oh, no, I got him.
Scorpio well off of objective.
Psycho
Hoochie
2.
right on it. And they're going to continue to try and keep them boxed in here. Scorpio's actually getting aggressive here and gets punished for it. Killinger picking that up.
A
Down
big
to
pickup.
just Hoochie.
Yeah, Hoochie all on his lonesome now, has to defend. Just misses the Pause push-up and the Killinger push, but ultimately he can stay right here. He is holding a very late kill angle. If he does it right, he'll find the kills. Pause goes down. Killinger's trying to find the refrag, but Killinger doesn't have time to play patty cake. He has to push up and challenge. Hoochie aware of this constraint, and he swings and commits for a challenge himself. Gets the kill, and Silent Purge lock in a defensive round. That is a savvy play from Hoochie. That's him understanding everything that's happening there. He knows I got the second to last kill. He has an accurate kill count, so that he knows there's only one left. He knows there's 25 seconds left. He knows where the shots are coming from, and then he predicts he's not going to challenge me again. And instead try and rotate with these last 20 seconds and manages to go for the 1v1 trade. Gets it, and Silent Purge take a lead here now on beginner's map pick.
The amount of amount of mind thoughts and outplays that had to go into effect there is just boggling.
Now let me ask you this. Do you have other kinds of thoughts?
Other kinds.
I'm saying, aren't all thoughts
I have
mind
game-
thoughts?
Game thoughts, mind games. I think I was going for mind
gut
games.
Thoughts? Yeah, there
Gut
you go.
thoughts.
Oh, hey, you can listen to your gut. Okay, it's certainly something that your heart thoughts. Okay, we're just making stuff up. We're coming up with new terms here. You know, there's different things you can listen to, I suppose. I've corrected myself. We'll see if Icy Woods listens to his brain thoughts, his heart thoughts, or his gut thoughts as they go on the defense, though. They are down 1, and they need to get this one back.
I prefer gun thoughts over everything.
Thinking with the rifle. Sometimes it works, but oftentimes it's good to be pad thoughts as well. You got to be thinking with your pad.
Ooh.
With your tablet. Tablet
Pad
thoughts.
are fun.
I don't think there's any tablet thoughts in Silent Purge's mind right now. I imagine they're looking for those gun thoughts, trying to find some kills.
Oh,
I don't even know
for
what we're
sure.
talking about anymore.
Scorpio had it. Do casters ever know what they're talking about?
We're descending into madness here. It's really just the
60
excitement.
seconds have gone away.
Yeah, it's the excitement getting to me. You know, we're staring down the barrel of a map 3 decider, and it is going to be Silent Purge's pick if they can lock this round in. And so,
Are you still watching this house?
you know, definitely a lot on the line for Silent Purge right now as they do take some early shots. I don't think that gives away the spawn. Like you said, a minute and a half there has passed already, so they've waited plenty. And so not really any information to rotate off of. And as soon as he does take those shots, he dips back away. And so I think for now, this Silent Purge offense will go unnoticed. We also have to keep our eyes split. We have to be watching all the angles. They have one invested over in the west. I'm trying to find who that is. I think it's Dolph Flossie. No? Who is it over there?
It'd be Scorpio coming up here onto Smoils on the back of the plane. Hoochie picking up one as well. Pause.
Oh, that
from
was a
over by
great
the
angle.
ambulance. That was a beautiful pickup too.
Yeah, Hoochie likes this spot. He's peeked up over here and found kills before, and even now he's just avoiding the refrag from Strayjack, who is on the hunt for it. He's looking, but Hoochie's tucked in tight. He's using the mound to push his head and his barrel just over the top of that wall. He found the shot there. Strayjack finally commits to swinging wide and gets that corner, and now he has control of it. And so Button Don and Dell all got to be cautious of Straightjack taking control here.
I'm wondering if the pressure from Silent Purge near our objective is going to force Smoils to rotate before Scorpio passes this corner. If that happens, Scorpio will be in the back lines.
Yeah. And this is good push coming in here from Silent Purge because they are splitting the attention fully here of this team. Straightjack's going to commit to a drop down off the ledge. It opens up the angle to the other side of the wall. Down goes Don. And he is picking apart this courtyard offense. Button's now going to smoke and most likely make his entry up. Smoils catches Scorpio on the west, so that's gone. And Silent Purge just not finding gaps in any defense. There's no, there's nothing for them to work with. Beginners put up a great hold there, cover all of the angles very nicely, and ultimately take us to a 3-3 as predicted.
Yeah, the key pickups were, I mean, all in the center right there. Beginners holding their lines. They had the smokes coming out, but they didn't let that get to their heads. They maintained their posture, and they sat and they waited for the crosses to come out.
Yeah, really nicely done there, and you know, yeah, just no hope for that Silent Purge push at any point. They just didn't get the utility where they needed it or the timing right, and they just got mowed down one by one. And they have to bounce back from that, right? We go to a old objective spawn, actually. Again, no new objective spawns, interestingly enough. An old objective spawn here down in the south, and this should be fun. There's a couple of interesting spawns for this objective as well, and so maybe we'll see a quick beginner's play here on offense.
Yeah, one of those spawns being way up in the north there, you can get some nice early lines onto the defensive objective very early. I believe another one out in the west where you can get some decent push-up angles before you get challenged. So, again, as you said, so many different options here on the way they could approach this.
They get that quick spawn, too.
There it is.
I don't know. Or I'm gonna be here, because I don't know where, so I'm gonna be here.
Don't go anywhere crazy, Mano.
Uchi there again, coaching his team, keeping them focused as they get into this round, but still lighthearted enough. Jokes coming in.
Ooh.
Don trades with Smoils, and that's pretty beneficial. That trade is very worth it simply because of the information gained. And you see Hoochie instantly trains the tension there. As soon as those shot comes out over to the west, they know it's a west spawn, and now it's tough for beginners to roll out.
Yeah, that was a key moment, the first 15 seconds of the round. Picking up 2 on the side of beginners, only 1 on the side of Silent Purge. That's definitely going to make them feel a little bit more comfortable. However, as we saw, I believe in the first round, beginners are not afraid of being low on the numbers side.
Kind of following along Icy Woods here, seeing what his plan of approach is, because truly he has a bit of an interesting threat. If he pushes up here, he can challenge Flossie, and then he's close to objective. The problem is both Hoochie and Scorpio have options. They can peek up and cover the middle street if needed, and so even though they are tucked and not watching, at any given moment they can peek up and over. And so as soon as Flossie is challenged, I imagine that they'll peek, and it's going to come down to the teammates to cover those peek angles. And so, again, it's just a matter of beginners lining everything up, syncing up the 3 that they have, and then collapsing down. And Woods recognizes he's a little bit ahead of his team and figures that this central push isn't going to really net him much, and he drops back.
Really interested to see how Straightjack's rotations are going to come into play here, coming out way in the east. We'll see if Flossie's yes, he is looking this direction now. I don't know if Stray Jack will be ready for this sort of positioning from Flossie.
You know, it's not a unknown position. I've seen this spot taken simply because of how powerful it is. You have great cover from a nade has to be placed on the other side of this ledge because you can just duck behind it, and so the nades have to be well placed to get you. But then also you have a great little head peek onto some huge positions, and so it is a very powerful spot that I imagine he'll check if he decides to make this swing out. Tries to get a kill there.
Hospital roof.
Long range shot that doesn't connect.
I just want to point out here the bipod coming out from Flossie, something you very rarely see in general, especially from a high tier team. And you gotta wonder if it's specifically for this sort of position, so he can just kind of lay here and have a nice, accurate spray of fire to anybody crossing.
Yeah, that is interesting. We don't see it deployed. It very well could be. You know, could be a server side saying, frankly, I have no idea because I've never seen it taken in a league match. So I don't know what it even looks like if it is deployed or if it isn't. So
in the current state, we cannot see it deployed. So we can assume that it is.
Covering the cross from center.
Interesting.
Who's in it?
Oz getting ready to challenge Scorpio here. I see Woods looking for a pick in the courtyard. Stray Jack getting ready for the pinch in the east. And the beginner setup is just about to come out here. Oh, Scorpio with a nice swing out. And then the trade, Hoochie and Stray Jack. I see Woods now all alone to finish off this attack.
Yeah, he's been here the whole round. Had command of this center area and hasn't been able to do much with it. And he's in a tough spot. His best route is to do what he's doing, to drop all the way back, take the crater to avoid getting tagged, or I guess duck behind these barriers to avoid getting tagged by Flossie, because he knows where Flossie is. He's actually even looking for an angle there, just for a moment.
He might find his elbow.
But if he doesn't tag Flossie, then he knows Scorpio's up next. And so a lot of information here for Woods to work with. A risky push up against the wall there. Fortunate that he doesn't get checked. But with a minute left, maybe there's a route here. Maybe even a cap opportunity if he gets the right picks.
Oh, the smoke. A bit risky. Gonna give away his approach here. Baiting Scorpio to come out of his corner, though.
I don't think he saw that rotation, though.
Here's him. He's gonna peek out and he gets it.
Silent Purge, lock in map number 2 and take us to a Series 3 decider. Rank 4 worldwide versus Rank 2, duking it out. And if you're Silent Purge, where do you go? What do? You just took beginner's map on Quarantine. You got kind of work on Shipyard. Do you go to Sand? Do you go someplace familiar? It seems to me that we're headed to Sand for map 3. This series is a delight to be tuning into. I'm happy we picked this one up. Some awesome map choices. And you know, frankly, this map pool, I was thinking about, I mean, it's just, again, I think I said it at the start of the stream, it's the most fun I've had watching Onward. There's so much variety that's never really been in the VRML or part of Onward competitively. But now we're seeing it with new maps, new objectives. Granted, we just saw Quarantine with all old objectives, not a single new one. But there's variety to be had. And even then, those old objectives feel fresh simply because I haven't seen a lot of those old objectives in a while. It's been a lot of new OBJs on Quarantine when we've been playing. And so it's just the variety of Season 11 is so fun to watch. And with Sand for map 3, I mean, what's going to happen?
you know, I was just looking into some stats here to try and get some insight into this, and I think it's going to be a touch-up of what you were talking about with wanting some more variety. Because I'm looking at these stats. Beginners haven't even played Sand on the official, or in the official capacity in the season yet, and Silent Purge has played it 3 times against Velocity, Vikings, and Boss Fight, and have lost all 3 of them. So I'm curious on why they actually chose to bring it to this.
Again, you know, I think it's got to just be a comfortability thing. They know they're looking at the same stats you are. They're saying, well, we've got experience here. We've played this map a couple of times. We've now learned where our opponents like to hide and how we can counter that. And so they have experience that beginners simply don't have. And so maybe they can utilize that experience of losing. I mean, hey, losses are the best moments to learn, you know? And if there's 3 losses here, they've learned 3 times on this map. And so if there's any time to apply what you've learned, now is it when you're up against beginners.
Definitely the time, and you know, as you're saying, beginners just haven't had that in the official capacity yet. As we can assume, they've scrimmed on it. They might have played it in the custom tourney, but again, recent plays have just not come out in this capacity yet. And maybe you're right. Maybe that'll play right into Silent Purge's hand, and they'll have a better understanding of what to do than beginners will.
Can't ever count beginners out, though. They are just a skilled team. You know, the expertise, the familiarity, like I've been highlighting all throughout today, it really carries them a long way. And even on a map they're unfamiliar with, simply because they're such a coordinated team, they can do well. And so I think we're truly going to get a pretty good brawl here on Sand. This map is crazy. The spawns are fast. Beginners can play this incredibly quick, and they've been doing well when they've turned on the gas and gone for those fast plays. So really a big question mark here for Sand on map 3. This series decider for ranks 4 versus ranks 1. We dive into it. Silent Purge on the offense, beginners on the defense. Man, some great games this week. I mean, I don't know what's in the water, but after it's standard stuff. Oh, not real. I mean, week 6. I don't know. Great games this week, though.
For sure. And again, an interesting decision from both teams. Both teams switching up the roster here. Sri Lankan coming in for Silent Purge, and then Raph coming back in for beginners.
One in the barn upstairs.
Uchi IDs IC Woods. Tries to find some shots through the wall. Can't get that wall bang. And actually has to be worried about that himself. I think if Killinger pumps rounds through this door, he can catch him. He actually tries to get a nade up and over. That is about 6 inches short. It would have caught him. And now Hoochie looks for the toes. Can't quite catch him. Killinger stays alive.
Killinger's upstairs in the building, in the center.
Dan notorious for this early round aggression. Beginners are staying relatively disciplined here, holding off their angles to make sure they keep a box around this objective.
We got to keep an eye on Del Flossie. He's getting aggressive, pushing up here to potentially challenge Raph. Hoochie gets Woods. Raph swings out. Snapshots on the corner. A great trade. Preventing command of the bottom floor. Killinger, if he can tag Hoochie, can even the odds, but he can't. Hoochie continues to stay diligent, pursuing the kill, and now Paz and Strayjak alone on the defense as smokes rain down around objective.
Yeah, I really feel like beginners are having trouble discerning these angles, as we were saying that Silent Purge has learned about from these losses. Paz and Strayjak in a pretty decent 2-man defense here, watching each other's backs. We'll see if it's enough.
Yeah, and right now Silent Purge are just clearing the rest of the map. They're making sure that there's no stragglers defending. Sri Lankan patiently waits for the rotation there to get a kill. Now Pause doesn't ID Sri Lankan there. Sri Lankan's up on objective,
No way.
pads out. Pause does swing, catches one. More smokes come in. They're looking for a cap here. Dawn is on OBJ. Pause continues to rotate. And finally, Silent Purge find the final kill and do take an early lead on this series decider map 3.
All I can say is, wow, Silent Purge just staging that up so beautifully onto beginners there. Beginners just not quite on their feet for the better rotations, getting picked off there, trying to react to all the shots.
Crazy to see that play come through and really just it seemed like a little bit of experience shining through there. You know, Hoochie in his position, he's trying to tag the toes of Strayjack. Strayjack maybe not even aware of that potential angle there as he's rotating around on the roof, and ultimately a very good looking Silent Purge offense on this first objective comes through to get a win. They were a bit beginners-esque there in their push too. I mean, they were nicely spread and surrounding objective as they collapsed down onto it. Ultimately, they do get that dub by collapsing, and you know, still maybe a cap could have come through in the depths of the smoke, but either way, a win's a win, and especially when you're on the final map and you're up against beginners, I think they'll take a nice Marsoc W.
Places we were probably, and they're going to be trying to get any picks off of that roof, so watch it if you're in the barn, because that's where I got my picks.
Coach Hoochie trying to make sure everyone is aware of potential pushes and rotations, and beginners coming out quick, taking control of this bottom floor, not investing too heavily into the top as Killinger does swing up.
Ooh, a nice pickup from Hoochie off the ramp there, catching an aggressive Strayjack.
Might be able to find another too as Killinger goes down the late peek up from Hoochie, nets him a double, and now beginners find themselves in a bad spot with 3 left alive, no control of the roof, and no picks.
I mean, if this has been identified here, they could almost get trapped in this part of the map now with 5 Silent Purge members still able to rotate around and get some lines onto this building.
Oh no. And as Woods works his way up the ramp,
Ooh.
Flossie peeks out and gets his kill, and Pause has no angle to find the refrag, and so beginners now down to 2. Raph may be able to get the res, but it's a risk for him to be going out and getting it.
One in the southwest tunnel. They need to pick up warehouse round.
Comments on the use of a shotgun there. Yet again, another unusual thing we're seeing being utilized.
Yeah, I totally forgot. I was wondering why that sounded so distinct as a shot. Hoochie's just going to apply pressure into the bottom floor.
Wow.
Raph says, I'll take that kill. Thank you very much. And now Silent Purge lose 1 of their 5 that they had alive. The flawless defensive round robbed of them.
Friendly.
We'll see if more kills can get strung together here as well, as Del Flossie is pushed up, but he's on the other side of the wall.
Hey, there's one flash. I don't know. I think we killed one more.
Oh, man.
Just kill one more.
With the shotgun just lasering down this line, waiting for them to push out of this building. Again, trying to trap them here. Gonna come up on Icy, and he finds the kill. 1 shot.
Woods was pillaging his teammate there, trying to get some resources, and Flossie just perfectly times his entry up. Again, no control of the roof, and it throws another wrench in this plan, this setup that they were looking for. It was looking like a decent attack, but they just can't confidently rotate up to objective without rooftop control. Pause is going to go up and invest again, trying to find control of this spot.
As they play ring around the boxes here. Ooh, Flossie unfortunately falling down, trying to get up on the ledge.
Oh, wow. He was going for that ledge crawl to try and get around Pause. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But goes down, gets notified, and Nate actually coming up to the roof. Pause, fortunately enough, tucked into that corner position, and so he won't be tagged by it. But they're just... This is all positive for Silent Purge. They've trapped this beginner's offense in this corner here for the entirety of this round. They haven't even been able to challenge the actual objective courtyard where there's still 3 defending.
So Flossie has just been playing the mind games here with beginners, just rotating, picking, moving around, just forcing them to slow down and think and not do anything else. But Raph has actually snuck his way out here as DeFlossie picks up Pause.
One more dead.
This dig
Oh my
Spaz
goodness.
12, dude. What is happening?
Raph gonna try and end the monstrosity that is Flossie here as he rotates back. And he goes down to Raph. Down to a 1v3 now, but Dole doing his duty and completely tearing apart the beginner's assault there.
Yeah, and look at how this defense reacts. All 3 challenge and push up. They know their kill count. They know Raph's the last one alive. All they have to do is simply defend. Sri Lankan gets nicely flashed, but Raph really just throws that out as a distraction. Is he going to be ready for the rotation from Scorpio? He's not. Both of them try and swing around. Ultimately, Silent Purge become victorious and have a 2-0 lead against beginners on the series decider.
Yeah, once again, you're seeing that. I almost want to deem it the black hole effect of the last player. Again, as soon as they identify where he's at, they all react and converge to that location and go for the picks. A very interesting and systematic rotation. They were all really in sync as they did it, too.
Yeah, it's, geez, what a great series that we're in here for today. I mean, this has been a fantastic afternoon for me. I'm glad we hopped on this one, Sky. I know it's a good, what is it, Friday today? Yeah, it's a good Friday night fight for the EU folk over there. Had to kind of count my days. I was thinking maybe it's Thursday. Who knows, dude? It could be anything. But no, we are here on the weekend. We've made it. And we're kicking it off with a fantastic series. This whole weekend's going to be great. We got some venues matches lined up. Be sure to be tuning into those. There's a lot of games coming down the pipe here. A lot of good games this weekend. So, you know, hey, so far the week's been delivering. I've tuned into 2 Series 3 Map 3 deciders, and I haven't seen any yet. So back-to-back is a blessing, and again, the most fun I've had spectating Onward as Silent Purge managed to really, honestly, I think, surprise beginners with these first 2 points.
Yeah, Onward VRML does not get much better than this. A very almost landslidey win for the map 1, and then a close map 2, bringing it to a map 3 decider. Just the heart attacks coming in here today. Innumerable.
Yeah, truly. I don't know. It's really comes down to beginners playing tight D here. That's all they really have to do. Play the standard kill box beginners defense, but I don't know if they have the comfortability on this map to really line up a good kill box. And I think this is one I have seen before. They got Raph tucked in, Pause on the Overwatch, and yeah, everyone here nicely positioned for entryways. And to get rid of the opponent if they make their way through here. Woods may find Sri Lankan and Scorpio in a few minutes.
Now, what I want to see here that this defense could be weak to is some over the walls and over the building's utilities, flashbangs and frag grenades, finding their perfect marks could really just tear apart this defense. A nice air cluster of flashbangs could really do some damage here.
Let's see. Just the waiting game now. And interestingly enough, Silent Purge are flipping a switch. They are changing the strategy. They've won 2 rounds, which is great, but they're not just running in looking for a third. They're not overcommitting here and getting aggressive when they don't need to. And if anything, they're really pulling back the reins after locking in those first 2 rounds, playing this one very patiently. And maybe if they can get an early kill, kick things off with a good start. Hoochie's going to run into Paz's line of sight soon.
All these players just right next to each other in their lines as the utility comes out.
They're the flashes you're talking about, but they're not over the wall. Woods is completely blinded in the corner, and so he actually can't hold the position that he's been holding. He flashes up and crosses out. Hoochie pushes up to challenge Raph, and they both go down in a trade. We're into a 4v4. Woods looking to come out. Sri Lankan finds the kill through the door. All of that utility that he used gave away his position. Killinger getting aggressive. Don Patron pushing up. Killinger goes down a double there. They're pushing into objective. Strajak has to swing around and cover. The last defender goes down to the quad push from Silent Purge, and a commanding 3-0 lead from Silent Purge on map 3. They haven't beat beginners since season 3. And they have played them every single season. We are on season 11. It has been 4 years of Silent Purge losing to beginners, and they are a round away from getting a W here.
Just wow. The what is the word?
Choreography.
The orchestration, choreography that came out here for that attack was just absolute madness. I mean, they got the utility, they got the picks, they forced the rotations. Beginners just off on their high heels could not rotate and get into proper placements.
Yeah.
And they just got picked off.
Truly just backpedaling as soon as the push comes in, and beginners just dropping one at a time. And really a great push from Silent Purge. I mean, you saw at the end all 4 on objective at the same time. They were very nicely coordinated. Their entry from both sides perfectly timed. It's why they caught Killinger out, and just really good execution on this map here from Silent Purge. And beginners really just not really surprised, but just being outplayed a little bit here as they are down 3-0. If you're going to count any team out, though, it's not going to be beginners. They are a team that can bounce back from something like this. And so all Silent Purge have to do here is play this one tight, and they got it. It's Silent Purge's game to win. Game to lose? I don't know what the saying is. But either way, it really comes down to Silent Purge just playing consistently here to lock in map 3. Flossie with a very good rotation. Spots the quick peek from Killinger, and as soon as he recognizes he's identified, he rotates out. Killinger can't get the angle, and Flossie stays alive. I mean, little things like that. Super high-level recognition there, and a great read from Flossie to keep himself in this one.
Yeah, one thing that beginners is so good at, why they're so successful, again, controlling the tempo. And I think Silent Purge has done a really good job at taking that stick from them and controlling it themselves. And that's part of the success that we're seeing here right now.
It's going to be a little bit. Nade's coming in. Oh, what a great toss from Paz. I think he was actually going for over the wall, though, because that would have been literally on top of Flossie's head. They already had cleared out that corner. Killinger had done that himself, so I think the nade just barely misses. And again, Flossie survives a few more minutes to defend with his shotgun.
Ooh, a beautiful grenade from Killinger. Again, over that wall, right onto Don's position. Only downing him, though, so he's in a position to give call-outs. Oh, and a confirm, or an attempt at a confirm grenade a little too high.
Yeah, Hoochie gives away his position. Raph finds Del Flossie. Beginners kicking off their entry here with a 5v3 advantage. Hoochie has rotated. He's going to get Dawn, so it's going to turn back into a 4v5. But they've got two stuck over in this corner now, and if Beginners connect, there's some gaps in the coverage. I think they're still waiting for the setup, though.
It's all going to come down to timing here on who gets into their positions first, who gets their lines back up. Can the defense get reset here before the final push?
Uchi goes for a risky rotation, but he's back to his tablet. Scorpio and Sri Lankan staying tucked in, and this is what I'm talking about. Just hold the angles. They don't need to commit. They don't need to peek. They don't need to look for the picks. They just need to let beginners come to them. It's what beginners are best at, so it's a risk, but they are taking it right now.
Ooh.
One in the corner.
Pressure coming out, not going to find anybody, just gathering attention, and the trades coming out. Killinger picking up Dawn, Scorpio picking up Killinger with an immediate refrag, and Shree trading with Stray Jack as well. Both down, but going to get confirmed by Pause, and then the revive coming out.
Yep, now beginners in a great spot. 4v2, Scorpio in an awkward defensive position, and Hoochie left to cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, beginners have a nice open approach to the objective now. Scorpio not in a good position to cover Hoochie, and Hoochie not in a position to cover Scorpio. They are effectively cut off from each other. But Scorpio picks up Stray Jack, and Hoochie rotating again to support him, leaving the objective a little open, though, as he rotates back. Ooh.
Wow, what a great
Nice
snap.
pickup from Woods.
Yeah, huge for Woods there. That would have been even Steven with a great defensive, honestly, setup from the two here. But instead, it's a three-man push up against Hoochie, who's got to cover a lot of different angles.
And again, beginners grabbing the tempo back to their end here, controlling the speed of the round as they pick and slow down a little bit. I see
Woods
Woods
go
right
cap?
by the objective. He might. He's definitely checking the code, but the trade comes out. Man, that could have been a cap if they had held his attention.
And that would have been the
Beginners
best
taking
way
one.
for beginners to get back in. I mean, yeah, you talk about a way for them to bounce back. A cap to turn it to 3-2 would have been huge. But a point's a point. And so certainly good for beginners. They keep themselves in this one. We shift objectives to, oh boy, a crazy one. This one has some very volatile spawns. Silent Purge can truly just YOLO this next round, all in, see if they can get the kills they need, just go for the trade fest. And if they don't, not really any skin off their back.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely have the points advantage to do something a little different to try and push beginners off of the tips of their toes, take them by surprise, do something kind of out there.
Round number 5 kicks off.
Bug. No. Even up here, maybe up here.
Hoochie ready to take this point, take the map, and in effect take the series.
And I was just listening to beginners there. They're still pretty reserved. They're talking about spots they can take. Woods is going to almost challenge Dawn. I thought maybe we were going to see an early fight there. Maybe we still will. Woods actually going to go for the flash. That goes up and over the wall, but the flash from Killinger does catch Dawn completely out. One goes down. More getting scooped up on the aggressive from the defense. Pause gets himself a couple, and it's only taken 30 seconds for Hoochie to be the last one left alive on Silent Purge in a 1v4.
Wow. That's all I have to say to that. Carry on. That was Hoochie. I don't even know if he knows that he's last alive.
It happened so quick. How could you even know what's going on? Here's footsteps behind him. Maybe he thinks it's his teammate. He can't possibly fathom that there'd be a threat behind there. Woods doesn't full commit to it though, so Hoochie stays alive a little longer.
Looking at Hoochie a little closer here, he has the drum mag available to him. 100 rounds he can put down range with no reloads. We'll see if that comes into play here.
There's a route.
Just about to challenge Paz. Oh, but he catches Raph.
Something here. If Paz goes down. There's the potential, but can't quite string the kills together, and 2 left alive for beginners locks them in another round dub, and, well, they did what I suggested, and it didn't work. They flung themselves at the objective, and they all died horrendously. Now they go on the defense, and I gotta wonder what beginner's plan is, because again, the spawns are insane on this objective, and the opportunity for immediate action is hard to ignore.
Yeah, I mean, the variety that can be thrown out here, I imagine beginners gonna do their normal quick push to the center, but I think they're going to take it a lot slower and try and get the flank around to the, I would say, the western side of the map, and then try and gain control of the rooftop, I think is they're going to be their ultimate goal here.
I think the goal of Silent Purge is really just to avoid chaos, because chaos is what unfolds here on this objective. And it can result in, I mean, heck, it could end the series. Beginners, if they get the right entry and the right picks, could just find themselves right on top of objective in the first 30 seconds of this round. So, you know, we could be, you know, we've been on match point for a while, but it's now just as possible for beginners to get up on there and lock in the series. Map 3 has not been decided. Whew, this has been a great back and forth. A quick spawn for beginners. Seems to be away. The Silent Purge seem to be ready for it. They're almost expecting that quick push to come in, but I just doubt beginners go for anything overly aggressive.
Ooh, close to a trade there. Don Patron and Killinger with Icy Woods trying to connect with each other. Oh, and Scorpio barely missing, or barely avoiding Paz's shots there. Coming out, doing a great job at clearing that back wall that Scorpio just rotated out of.
Yeah, we got to split our attention here. Both Don and Scorpio right on top of the beginner's defense or offense, really keeping him tucked in. Honestly, Don's here, got an angle that I don't think they know he's rotated to, and if Woods and Killinger want to commit to a cross out, they're gonna have to challenge him.
Purge. Oh, and a great grenade and confirm from Raph onto Shri. Ooh, the trade's coming out. Paz finding one. Icy Woods and Dawn both going down. A 2v4 very quickly.
Not where you want to be if you're Silent Purge. It's up to Flossie and Hoochie. Flossie's got the shotty on OBJ. So he's got that little, he's got the opportunity for close range battles, but again, the cap is available here. And so if beginners with 4 left alive and an accurate kill count can decide to challenge on for an objective cap, this could be the series.
Ooh, a key pickup onto pause from Hoochie there. Gonna help equalize things just a little bit.
Yeah, rooftop control paying off here. Maybe he can catch Raph too.
Beginners have a nice triangle around the objective. They just need to commit in sync here as Raph tries to pick up Hoochie. Does get the call out though. I don't know if Hoochie's going to be ready for Stray Jack's position as he rotates around this rooftop.
Flossie not aware that these nades came from behind him. Killinger doesn't push in. That could have been it. If Killinger made his entry in and committed to these smokes, Flossie would have been done and dusted, objective uncovered. Instead, Gucci's going to try and push down ramp. Stray Jack has an angle right behind him. Takes the shots. One more dead.
1v3 now. Don with the shotgun. Raph gonna push up, gets downed and confirmed. An insta-death from the Spaz 12 onto Raph.
Yeah, and he's thrown a little bit of a wrench in the beginner's setup there. He's managed to cross away from Stray Jack's point of view. Do a nice bit of a rotation here. Avoids Killinger's line of sight. And tucks in right on top of objective. This is a great spot to be for Flossie.
Yeah, especially with that shotgun. He really can't be peeking out like he is right now with the shotgun. He doesn't have the range for it. He has to wait for beginners to get close.
Silent Purge just one round away from locking in this series. If they can execute. If Flossie can string it together. He's had the 1v3 this whole time. Managed to keep it down into a 1v2. 2 minutes left on the clock. Killinger and Stray Jack on the hunt for the lone defender. And they can't get too aggressive. They can't overcommit. They have to clear out everywhere around objective. That's what Killinger's doing now. He's checking angles, clearing them out, making sure there's no alternate positions that he could be in, and eventually they'll push up to objective, but they're going to full clear everywhere else before they do that.
The discipline coming out from beginners right here to just, as you said, clear out the stragglers. Make sure the surrounding area is clear before doing their final push. Even though they are under 90 seconds, now counting down to 60 seconds, they are calm, cool, and collective here.
Flossie's done great to stay in his tucked-in corner position, and as I say that, he rotates out to the other side of the wall. This could cost him. Is Killinger gonna find an angle? He does get spotted, but Flossie able to react quickly enough. Tucks back in. Has to be aware of the duo, though. Stray Jack doesn't push. Killinger finds the kill. Beginners take it to a round 7. We're tied up 3 apiece. Sand is not done yet.
Oh, man, it just gets better and better. Map decider, round deciding point, series deciding point, all of the above right here coming to you live. Well, technically 6 minutes into the past, but I digress. The crazy plays that we've seen so far do not disappoint us.
No, they really don't. You look at the overall score line, it's been a exciting back and forth round. The first shit, maybe almost just like an unwarmed up Silent Purge. You know, they did challenge beginners well on that first shipyard map, but ultimately could not string together the wins they needed. And since then, it's just been a much more consistent back and forth, much more what you would really expect out of a Silent Purge beginners matchup. It's gotta feel better. Silent Purge are this is the mindset right now. Just imagine it. You know, they are tied up here 3-3. They are a round away from beating beginners when, again, they haven't beat them in 4 years. And they've faced off against them every single season. There's so much to gain here for Silent Purge, to be able to take down beginners. At the same time, beginners, well, they're just playing the rounds. They're trying to beat Silent Purge as usual, and they've managed to now bring this down to a round 7. I can't believe it.
I'm just, man, I'm shaking. I'm ready to kick this off, but at the same time, like, I want to drag this out. Like, the emotions here.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah, it's really nuts to have such a exciting and storied series come down to this final round. I mean, this is exactly how yesterday shook out too, and I couldn't be any more pleased with the series that we've had here today. It's I can't believe that we are finally here, and they're taking a little bit of extra time in this round. You know, this has been longer than a minute and a half. Yeah. And I wonder which team is the team that's taking a little bit more time. Really, if you think about it, now's a good time for a tactical timeout. You know, you get a lot of time to plan out your strategy around this objective. It's the final round. Momentum's not in either one's hands. If anything, you might want to slow beginners down a little bit here by putting a pause in the 3 rounds that they've managed to get unanswered. And I don't know. I don't know what the play is here for Silent Purge. It doesn't seem like we're in an official timeout. It seems like we're going to get right back into the action for the final round of the series.
Because I can't watch like really close with
See how this rolls out. The tension at an all-time high here. Round 7. Flossie's just going to charge out the door. Icy Woods finds the kill, almost as if Flossie was completely unexpecting that defensive position to be there. He gets completely caught off guard. Also getting a little bit over-aggressive in comparison to the rest of his team. They're not even anywhere close to being that far up.
Yeah, an unfortunate desync in the offense there. Going to cost them one early on. Not the position you want to be in on a round-deciding map.
You know what? I wonder if he was...
series-deciding round.
It's crazy to think, but I wonder if he was going for a cap play. You know, just trying to get an early pick onto someone and then just make a straight entry into objective. I don't know what the intention was there, but either way, Woods able to find that first kill, and it's exactly how beginners want to kick off this round. They've managed to bounce back here with 3 unanswered points, and ultimately it all comes down to this now, and they've got themselves an advantage. The kill feed inaccurate up at the top. It is 4v5 advantage beginners. I mean, I'm just thinking, I'm looking at the overhead. I'm wondering what Silent Purge's play is here. What's their end game strat? At this point, it's got to be the 2-2 split, right? So they're going to send one pair east, one pair west. The east pair can get pretty close to objective if you can manage to get out that doorway. Actually, you can just go around to that side, the side tunnel, and just push down that side tunnel and be pretty close to OBJ. The problem is they have relatively good defensive positions to cover that exit point. And so if they do commit to that lane and coming out of that doorway, they do have... Well, actually, nobody's really watching that door, are they? Strayjack is. Never mind. They have Strayjack dialed in.
Yeah, Strayjack's position is going to be very hard for them to deal with. It will likely result in minimum a trade and a loss, or another loss on the side of Silent Purge.
and 5 for Hoochie today.
Yeah,
at least on this round.
Coming in strong for Sand.
Ooh, ID's Woods, and somehow Woods finds the reaction shot. Both go down. How did Woods hit that? What a great little angle that he managed to find.
3v4, not necessarily impossible for Silent Purge. Beginners having some really good lines here. But again, it just takes one smoke, one flash to throw that down the drain.
Silent entry has been made. Raph unaware that Dawn is here.
Ooh.
And now
Beautiful
distracted.
smoke from Tree.
-1 middle building.
Dawn's found two
Ooh.
big pickups. Open up the garage control. Sri Lankan has rooftop. Dawn's making his entry in, and Scorpio almost ready to exit out the gate that is no longer covered by Stravejax. Stravejax had to rotate. He goes down, and Silent Purge have 4 up against the 1 of Paz on objective. The 3, actually, because they had 1 pick. The kill feed's inaccurate. It's up to Scorpio, Dawn, and Sri Lankan. And Sri Lankan's here, ready for the pick, and Paz has to cover all kinds of angles now.
The smoke coming in, a nice distraction. Pause now has to worry about this entrance. He has to check every single entrance there, but he peeks around and picks up Scorpio. Tree making the push now, almost gets picked up. Pause going for the push. Dawn in there to support. Pause going down, and Silent Purge taking the second map of the series.
And you hear the celebration. They have finally beaten beginners. It's only taken 7 seasons, 8 seasons,
Yeah.
but they have finally managed to do it. A hard-fought victory from Silent Purge locks in map number 3. Wow, what a amazing series to tune into. Silent Purge certainly feeling good about that one. And if you're beginners, I mean, they gave it their all. They came back from a 3-0 disadvantage there, nearly had 4 unanswered points on sand, but it was finally Silent Purge's time to shine, and they locked it in. Sky, what a great series to drop into this afternoon.
Oh my goodness. I am so glad I've set my alarm and got ready for these casts. Oh man. Well, yeah. What a series. What rounds to come out here and watch today. This is the pinnacle of what you want to see here in Onward VRML. This is why we do the castings.
It truly is. It's a fantastic learning experience, and I'm sure that the teams, both of them, will be looking back at this VOD for a good while now to analyze and figure out how they can become better at these maps. But great back and forth here today. A shout out to all the people that are tuning in and watch this matchup. A reminder to be sure to tune in this weekend to VR Master League on Twitch, where you can catch the venue showcases. Those are some very good matchups, button cup matchups nonetheless, so you're not going to want to miss those. But that's going to be it for us here on the desk. A quick shout out to our sponsors: VRware, VR Cover, ProTube VR, B Haptics, Fixed Gaming, and HyperX. We really do appreciate all of the sponsors that come together and offer prizes for our tournament champions, which we end up deciding at the end of the regular season. The competition for the ladder ultimately decides where you're seated, and so all of these games do matter in the grand scheme of things. And right now, Silent Purge is going to go up in rank as they've just dethroned the number 1. What a series. Like I said, that'll be it from us here on the desk, though. My name is Ben NightFiree with 2 E's, my co-caster, TheSkyJoker. We appreciate you all tuning in, and we will see you this weekend for more action. Be sure to not miss it.